Welcome to the Insum Insider.
Welcome to the Inside. This is the Insum Insider, your source for Oracle Apex tips, techniques, methodology, and really wherever that discussion takes us. I'm your host, Monty Latchley, coming to you from Texas, the land of milk, honey, and recently Scott Spindolini. With me today is my good friend and member of the Insum family, Michelle Scamity. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Monty.
At the helm. Keeping us on time and task is our producer, still French Canadian, Mark Rule. Mark, we appreciate everything you do for us. It's Thursday, January 14th, Season 2, Episode 1. And thank you for spending a piece of your afternoon with us. We're coming to you wall-to-wall live on YouTube and Facebook today. The Insider is, of course, sponsored by Insum, thus the name. If you're doing anything at all with Apex and you need a lifeline, reach out to us. We offer everything from coaching, mentoring, all the way through turnkey project management and development. We're laser focused on Apex, and we've been that way since 2004. Happy New Year, Michelle.
Happy New Year.
We got Francis waiting in the wings. Let's bring him on.
We do. Hey, Francis.
Hey, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good to see everybody. I hope you got some. Hope you took some time off for the holidays. Come back recharged, rested, and ready.
Can't you tell?
Yeah. I shouldn't even ask. You look great.
Francis is looking a little rough.
Been a rough few last months, huh?
Well, I'm ready to put 2020 in the rear view. I'm so ready to put 2020 in the rear view, as I'm sure we all are. This is the time of year where people kind of decide, provide New Year's resolutions and that kind of stuff. I think for me, I'm going to try to instrument and comment more in my code. I know I always start out doing that way, but as the year goes on, you start slacking off. What's your New Year's resolution?
I definitely want to blog more.
Well, I hope you do.
I used to in my past life. I did a lot of that, and I always enjoyed it. It's tough to find the time, but I definitely want to blog more. Yeah, I think that's it.
I hope you do. It's required reading, man. I love your blog posts.
Oh, thanks. And also exercise more. I haven't been very good with that. How about you, Francis?
Well, I'm about a bit like you, but mostly on the being more active and then getting out a bit more, and like you say, exercise a bit more, because it seems that we're always sitting down in front of a screen and zooming and but
Well, one thing when I do it, which it doesn't happen all the time, because we get focused in on the projects and stuff, whatever we're working on that day. But when you do hop up from the desk and take 15 minutes to take a walk, it really, a lot of times you come back with the solution. Especially if you're stymied on something, just getting away from it for a minute makes a world of difference. So good New Year's resolutions. We'll check back in June to make sure we're keeping up with these things.
Hey, Monty, yesterday was a really, really big news day, wasn't it, in our sort of Oracle world?
Yes.
But what would you think of bringing Niels and Moritz on, sort of to get their take on it as well? I think that was a big event that maybe we can get everybody's thoughts on.
In our little corner of the world, in the Apex community, it was huge news. We've always kind of felt like, certainly back in the early days, that Apex was the best kept secret, but it's not a secret anymore. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's using it.
It's the first time that it's been put so upfront, and then being there in front of everything and showing that it's not only for small applications. I was kind of tired of hearing that. Like Andy said it out loud clearly, it's for small and big applications, enterprise applications. So
and if you go to the Oracle site today, the news section is all about Apex. So it's really exciting for those of us that have been in this space for the last almost 20 years. Would you say, Francis, Monty, probably Niels, you guys too? It felt like a big moment.
Niels, Moritz, I know you guys are well aware of the news yesterday. Any comments?
It's great news, of course. Yeah, I love the Apex service that is finally there. You can order it, and it is really competitive. Yeah, in terms of budget. Yeah, so a lot of people who are still not deciding what kind of low-code platform they're going to take. I think this is very compelling to them. So great news. Yeah.
Yeah, it is great news, and they talk about Apex being a free tool. Well, there's no such thing as a they say there's no such thing as a free puppy either. There's a cost associated with it, but it's such a low cost. Certainly, when you compare to the alternatives, I think it's a huge win, a huge day for Apex yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we need to get the message out that Apex can also be used, even though the data is not residing in that database. Yeah, even you can use it with external data and communicate with that. So a lot of customers are not aware of that. So they think of Oracle, oh, that must be expensive, and it doesn't have to be the case, right? You can start really with a small budget and then interact with your existing data that could reside in any other system. So,
I saw a session at one of the conferences a few years ago that a guy did a session on everything that Oracle gives out for free, and it was an exhaustive list. I mean, everybody does think that it's an expensive platform, and I'm certainly there are some aspects of it that are expensive, but there's a ton of stuff like Apex that people should be taking advantage of today.
It's way more accessible than what it used to be. So you can start using Apex all for free with free database, free autonomous database even. So everything's accessible for free. So,
it's all coming together, guys. It's all coming together.
So, Monty, I well and truly messed up with your intro of Niels and Moritz by suggesting we bring them on. Why don't I let you do what you were going to do and introduce our guests? 5 minutes.
People aren't here to see you and Francis and I. People are here to see Niels and Moritz. So let's. On the docket today is workflows. I mean, you guys have asked for it, and so we've answered the call. If there's a future subjects you'd like for us to bring to you, please do so. Like I said, workflows was asked for and delivered today. We have 2 gentlemen from MTAG, Niels De Bruijn and Moritz Klein, and we're so happy to have you guys participate in our conversation today. Go ahead and introduce yourselves for those that maybe aren't as familiar with MTAG.
Yeah. Thanks. So thanks for having us here at this session. So it's great to speak about the product. So first about me, Niels De Bruijn. I'm a business unit manager working for MTAG, which is a mid-size consultancy firm in Germany. And right now I'm responsible, co-leading together with another colleague for 45 people, solely focused on Apex. And our company has about 280 employees. And we also do a lot of stuff with JavaScript, with Java, with .NET, C#. And I live and work in Ratingen, but I'm a Dutch guy. So I moved over to Germany back in the end of 2003. And since then, I am happily married also with my wife here and living here in Germany with my kids and wife.
I was going to say, I'm guessing you have kids by the background and all those games, unless you and your wife like to play a lot of games.
Yeah. So during the holiday, we actually had the chance to play a lot of board games, and I'm really fanatic at playing board games. And my daughters even managed to clean things up, and they even sorted it by color. So I was like really surprised seeing that.
Some future programmers there.
Really nice. Yeah.
Can I get your kids to talk to my kids, because that would not ever be part of exciting to do over the holidays.
Yeah.
I guess that's only for the showroom. Only for the showroom.
It's virtual.
Yeah, it's a green screen right now. It's all real. It's all Laker friends up there, and all the things the daughters play with, and
What geographic region do you cover? Is it just EMEA, or are you guys?
So as a company, we cover Germany. So most of the customers are residing in Germany. I mean, we're open also for other business, but as we're all aware of, you need people, of course, that are living in that location, to get the contact with the customers, and that's something we don't have outside Germany. So we focus on Germany, and there's a lot of stuff to do. We opened up new branches even. So we had one last year, opened up in Munich, and this year we're looking at Hamburg. So we're spreading across the country, and there's lots of stuff to do even in Germany. So we're happy with that. Things are getting along quite well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're talking today. You guys have made quite a splash of late around your Flows product. So that's what we're going to talk about today is Flows and the workflow product. What was the genesis of this? Did you guys have a need? Did a client bring the need to you? Did you just see, hey, there's nothing out there on the market, and I mean, how did this all happen?
So before getting into that, I will first give Moritz a chance to introduce himself.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that.
Let's try. Let's try. So if I want to cut it short, it's all about Apex, but this is probably the same for all of us here. I'm working with MTAG. Niels is my manager. I'm doing mostly architecture work. However, I'm a developer at heart, so I'm not that type of architect where you tell it's a developer that doesn't develop anymore. So I can't. I need to get my hands dirty, and then I use those things to be able to say to my guys, hey, these are concepts that actually work. I can just make them up from thin air. That's not my style. Apex all the way actually started with the first official public release, HTMLDB. I think I even cleansed at 1.5, which was up for about 1 month maximum. Then it got replaced by 1.6. I had my fair share of fun back then with all the custom stuff. Currently trying to get more standardized stuff, and then those fun projects that sometimes Niels comes up with. So
Okay, here's this week's version of Would You Rather. Would you rather be forced to use Apex 1.5 for the rest of your life, or forced to use Access?
That's a good one. Hey, let's get our audience participation to answer that one as well. That's a good one.
Well, the good news is
going with 1.5 though. No question about it.
I think so too. The good news is it's hypothetical because we've got 20.2 out there, and it is so amazing. So, again, thank you both. Thank you both for dropping in. Let's quickly move to Flows. And so, what was the genesis? I mean, how did this come to be?
Let's go into that. So workflow was always a passion from my side over the years, and I was looking at conferences for sessions about workflow, and there weren't that many. And I saw some open source solutions coming up now and then. And back in 2016, I also did my own presentation at Kscope in Chicago. It was about the integration of Camunda. And the room was packed. So there was a lot of interest in general for workflow. And the presentation itself was well received. But after that, it didn't really take off. And took me a couple of years to get behind that. And eventually in 2019, I came to realize, we need to have a different approach. Because if you integrate Camunda, you still need, even though it's open source, you still need to install it on a separate server. You need to do the integration. So that takes a lot of effort. And I wasn't quite happy with that. And I think you should keep it simple as much as possible. So I wanted to have an application in place where you can just install it with just a few clicks and you're good to go, up and running. And that's where it struck me and I said, why don't we integrate BPMN.io, which is a JavaScript framework, into the database, into Apex. And then we can stay in our comfort zone, which is Apex, and utilize our knowledge, also our PL/SQL knowledge, to interact with those flows. And we can model all them with the BPMN framework. And then I started working on that, and I had papers submitted for Kscope in 2020. And then, during the presentation at Kscope, there was this office sessions that he did. And there I presented it for the first time. That was the first release. And then, it just rolled, right? It just like, okay, when is the next version coming up? And then more people are joining the community, joining the project. So right now we're standing with 11 people working on this project.
Oh, wow.
And we're developing new features, clearing out some bugs, looking at new features, interacting with different kinds of people all out the world to see what they're doing with it. And I mean, the highlight maybe was the Apex office hours back in December. And if you look at those numbers, I mean, 3,400 views already for that presentation. Just Google on it, Apex office hours. You can find it there. And we have over.
Mark, we have the link to that office hours video if you want to share that in the chat.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And looking at the downloads, we have about 500 downloads already in the last month, which for me is a pretty great number. Yeah, so a lot of people are looking into it, and that's what I also get from others. A lot of positive feedback. People are starting to work with it, trying to do things, and once in a while they need our help a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, we also deliver support for it, so. But it's open source, right? So you can model and run your process flows with it, and it's 100% open source. So we don't send you any bill. Yeah, don't be afraid to use it. Yeah,
I can attest to the fact that I didn't get any bill. I downloaded and installed it. No bill.
We don't come to your place and do auditing there, and then send you a bill. We don't do that. Was it destined to be open source from the start, or did you guys decide later in the process that we're just going to make this community owned? No, I definitely wanted from the first start to be open source. It was pretty important to me because this is targeted for Apex developers. And I'm an Apex developer myself. So when I start developing and I look at things I might need, I immediately want to use them. I want to download them, maybe a plugin or so, and I want to install it and immediately want to use it. And as soon as there's a bill saying, you have to pay 10 euros or whatever for it, then things get a little bit, complicated, right? First of all, I have to convince myself that I actually want this. Then I have to go to my manager and he has to approve it. Then we have a procurement process taking place to get it all on board. And then that's not what I want. Yeah.
So this BPMN.io is also open source, I would guess. And then you integrate that into an Apex app.
Yeah, good question. It's also open source, and you can freely use it, and they're very active as well, which is also important. Yeah, not that we're developing something, integrating something that's not developed anymore, but the commune company that's behind BPMN.io is actually very active on that part. So they regularly update those JavaScript libraries. And for that, we can make sure that we can use that, because Commune itself is also using it. Yeah, they make their own business with it. Yeah, they have their own workflow engine in place. So
So guys, actually, before we get too deep into the weeds, how would you feel about starting with a demo? There's so much to talk about and cover, but let's maybe just give people an idea of what it looks like, how it works, and start there. I think it would be helpful.
All right.
Good idea.
Moritz, would you like to start off?
Yeah, so I'll go with like a bit generic what we have on tutorial so that you have a head start, and Niels has prepared sort of something which looks a bit like a real life demo. So that should be a good take. So let's see. Seems like I'm on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing that I've did is actually already go into the application. This is what we internally call our engine application. What this is one of the packaged applications that we have. Actually, your starting point. What it will do is install the application, but using the supporting objects also install the Flow engine, and this is where all our plugins and things that we created to make this work reside, so to say. So then let's quickly dive into the modeler. So this is where you can actually live in your browser start modeling flows. Just dragging things here. It's actually pretty easy. Just for showcase, we actually also have we have a linting feature, which actually tells you a bit about, hey, you should label those things, or if I remove something here, would tell me, hey, you have an error here because the process should end somewhere. We're not want to create an infinite loop. So this is the modeler. Not going to click too much here. I will load one of our tutorials because that gives you a bit like an easy thing. Yeah, I implemented that warning. Now it's starting to annoy me. Yeah, it's a use. Are you sure? Yeah, well, I am. So this is one of our tutorials kindly created by Richard from the team. He was doing a lot of that, and with a lot of annotations here, so that you actually in the model can see what things are. Obviously, the linter tells me there are no warnings because we made sure that we don't produce warnings here. So this is the extremely simple and generic flow. So there are certain, let's call it generic tasks to be done, and then there are two tasks which should run in parallel afterwards. And if both are finished, we're synchronizing again, and then we're at the end. So this is the modeler. You can look at things. You have the typical controls here.
Moritz, do you mind if from time to time I ask a question without
sure.
Your flow too much? Just to position, who would be working in this? Would this be myself as an Apex developer doing this? Is it the business? Is it the business working with the developer?
Probably. So if you have sort of like a business analyst, maybe that guy. On the other hand, an Apex developer. So what I like here is actually now I have to do it again. So let's talk about something like, okay, I'm with a customer and he says we need an application for sort of things, and what you talk about is the process of doing something.
Right.
So what you can actually use this, if you're a bit proficient with the tool, it's like the user says, yeah, I open up my to-do list. Yeah, open to-do. Fine. Next step is I select an entry. It's just I'm just making up something. Mm-hmm. But you see how it works. Like it's a sort of mapping down what the user tells you, what he's going to do. So sort of requirement engineering in a quick fashion. So if you don't go too elaborate and start fiddling around, like you're sketching things up.
Yep.
The good thing is you can just save it, and it is your first draft of a process that is behind that you might be able to reuse later. And this is where it totally fits with Apex. What we typically do is like quickly create some click dummies. So a user which is not used to we are used to bringing up pictures in our mind from totally abstract things. This is because we are developers. A business user is like, he needs to have hands-on. Mm-hmm. And this is where we do click dummies with Apex, or we quickly put together like things and then, there I have a decision point. You put in a decision point. He can immediately see, oh, that guy is understanding me, and that helps a lot with requirements engineering. And afterwards, if you can reuse that, that's just the icing on the cake, so to say.
So in the office hours, I saw that you can link Apex pages to those things. Yeah. So I would say, let's say I have to open my Apex app that has the to-do list. I could.
So that's what we call a user task. That's what we call a user task, where we say a user task is typically you open some page. An Apex developer will probably recognize those values because that's the input to the function that we use if we're creating a URL. This is, at the moment, you need to know what you're doing, but it behaves exactly the same. So if I open that up from any application and say, okay, this should go to page 2. It will go to page 2 in that application. However, what we do is like we provide an interface where you get to know what is where do we want to put the user now as a next step.
What's important though in this construct is that we have the modeling part and then you have the application. But be aware that the application drives the flow. Yeah. So normally you would do a normal application development with Apex, and then at certain points you can say within the application using PL/SQL API, say, okay, at that point you're going one step forward. Yeah, and then you move one step forward in the instance. Yep. Because a process is something you don't show to the end user. Yeah, so this is something that's being done by, as Moritz said, a business analyst or the Apex developer itself. But it's not something you would show the end user.
So the app is driving the process. That's what you're saying. So you start with an app or an email or something that would start it up, and then you go. Yep. And then what happens if I go from one app to another one? Do you handle all the, or I have to code that if I'm going from app 101 to app 205, that I could do that, right? So
well, let's say if you have it here, let me quickly click that in. So in theory, you could have a decision point here telling you I need to go because of one thing to one app and because of another case to another app. You could model that out here, have your like decision point here, switch to one or the other thing, and then you would actually lay it out here. What we don't do, and we don't have any session parameter in here, so we rely on an Apex API to give you the right link. So what this is intended for, if I'm at that point, those two things are active, or this one is active, you can ask our engine, what is the link the user should go to, so that you can easily provide a link. So think of a to-do list, classic to-do list, and then you have a listing with the click here. You end up at the form where you have to do something.
Yeah. Just one remark on that side. If the process will span more than an Apex session, and the process can be pretty big, and can even cover your whole company if you want to. And at certain points, you would have different kinds of Apex applications that assist a little bit in the process. So they will supply a form before going forward, or they would reply something else, use input or whatever, maybe sending out a mail or doing some PL/SQL stuff. And that's how you can use it. So normally what you would do, and that's what I was always missing in my projects, is I talk with the customer and I say, okay, before getting into programming, I first want to know the use case. Yeah, how does the process look like? And before going to a whiteboard and then making all those graphs on a whiteboard, it would be better to actually use this. And then you have also already a documentation in place. Okay. And then you can actually decide, do I want to leave it as a documentation, which is valid? Or you can actually take it one step further and say, okay, I'm going to build the Apex application, and that's going to drive my flow. Yeah, so to move it one step forward.
So right now you're referencing apps, pages, Apex objects can be referenced in the flow. Is there a possibility that this could actually be more of a code generator in the future?
Oh.
What exactly do you mean by code generator?
Well, what I'm saying is, to be able to create pages and stuff like that through this workflow. Okay. Because right now you're referencing existing objects.
Okay, that is an option, but for that, of course, we need the Apex team itself, to get that done. Because then we are talking about utilizing internal Apex APIs that are not public now. So it is an option for the future, and what I envision is that you would do the process modeling, and then in one step you would do right click, and you would say, I want to create a form for this user task, and it would automatically create that form for me with appropriate fields, but also the data model behind it. So I don't have to worry, which is nowadays the case. I still need to have to be data minded. I have to go into a data model. I have to create a data model first before going into my app and create the app. But why not take the other way around? Saying, okay, for simple use cases, why not just auto-generate a form with the data model underneath it? And if needed, you can go in depth and you can do the enterprise method, yeah, and use Power Designer or data model or whatever tool you like best. And that's something that is also an option for the future. Yeah.
If I understand correctly, it depends at what level your process or your workflow is. If it's about manual stuff, or it could be one of those boxes, then you could probably drill in, and then this could be another workflow part of this bigger workflow, and then you go deeper, and then
that can also be you can have like sub processes in there that it could get very complex. It's the same with Apex applications. Try to modularize, I would say, immediately. Don't do too much in one thing. Yeah. So it's,
we talked about business analysts really being being this in the analyst space for this kind of flow. Certainly when you build the flow, but being able to know where something is within a flow. I can also see instances where within an app, your users would need to see where this order is, and having access to this flow within the app, even if they can't do anything but even if it's view only, I think that'd be very compelling.
I'm painfully aware of the fact that we've completely hijacked your demo that you've probably prepped.
No.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Answered, so I'll invite you to get back
from you guys. We didn't expect anything less from you. That's totally towards expectation. So
that's
we would have been very disappointed if not. So let's take the easy thing that we have here, so it can easily go through. What we have on top here is what we call flow control. This is more like an administration page. Let me pick that. Let's just create, I always say process instance, because that's the 100% correct term. So you immediately know I'm German, so I need to be extremely precise. And then I can start a flow. And the thing is, now we know where this is standing. So I've started the process flow. It will wait at this task because this is some activity where the engine will wait on, because something needs to tell you, you can go ahead. There are other activities where the engine will just step through. Like if you're saying this is just run a script, there's no point in waiting. Just run the script and off you go. But here we have like a standard task, it's waiting. And then if I go into the control, I see, okay, we have something running here. It's waiting at that point in time. So let's just step forward. It's like, let me put the zoom level a bit lower. Maybe we can see a bit more on the screen then. So it just immediately stepped forward. What we did in the backend is just a simple PL/SQL call against our API telling this step is completed. Then the engine knows, okay, it goes to task B. Let's just step through. Then what we noted here is, okay, it's splitting, which it's a parallel gateway here. So both those tasks get spawned in parallel. And now we have two tasks, waiting to do something, or let's say running in this case. You can step that forward. And this is another, it doesn't need to have both to finish in this case. So this is, one of the things with BPMN. BPMN, I was actually also surprised. I didn't see it was an X instead of a plus sign. Mm-hmm. So there's actually a bug in the tutorial which we need to change. That's good. Let's note it down. Because this one should close in parallel and wait for the other one. Yeah. So we can step through here in simple terms. There are more sophisticated parts, and one thing that we didn't use here, we have a sort of a simple variable system in behind, so you can set certain values or variables which will live in the process. Niels before said that the process can span multiple Apex sessions, so across Apex sessions, and this is always where our headache starts. So where do we pick up again? how do we get into there? And this is our way to do it. Yeah. So this is pretty simple. Probably if Niels, if you want to do like the shipment demo, there's a bit more stuff in there, and there's a real Apex application around it, which makes it even, I hope, even more interesting. This is like what we did, generic part.
By the way, Moritz, I feel I should tell you, Richard just commented on YouTube, sorry, it's already fixed. So if you want to get a sense for the speed at which your team is working.
I expected that one.
He's always pretty fast. Yeah.
That's very impressive. All right.
I should have just checked before and done this, but I like live demos, so
for sure.
I'm bound to run into any sorts of issues.
German engineering.
and a little bit of Dutch engineering.
Well, it's the Dutch enthusiasm and then the German, let's think about it once or twice before we implement something. Thank you.
And then we have Richard, right? He's come from the UK, so yeah. And then there are a lot of people. We have people from France as well and from Denmark. So it's really a European thing. Okay, so England is not European anymore, right? So, sorry.
We've decided as an insider team to stay away from politics in general. So.
All right. We're not going into politics.
On that flow monitor, this is actually a plugin that we also made totally public, which you have on GitHub. This is what you would integrate. This plugin, what you would integrate into an application if you want to give your user like a heads up, hey, where am I? Why is my order not being processed? At which step it is currently? Because what we do here is like we mark all tasks complete, which are completed gray, and the currently active is on green. So you have an idea why isn't the order yet processed? Think of like, with Amazon, it's like, hey, it's in the delivery center. It's bound to be packed onto the car to be delivered to you. Things like that.
I like it.
All right, let me share the screen then, and we can move over to the demo app.
That's okay.
Let me see here. All right. So what you've seen so far is that it's actually this application. So Flows for Apex. And this is a package app. You can click it or install it with a few clicks, and then you have it all installed. And you already have the tutorials included in there. And there is also another app, which is called the demo app Order Shipment. And that's actually, that could be your Apex application, that interacts with the process flow. So let's get into that. And here we have my demo app, and in this case, it's all about order shipment. So we first need an order. So let's create one. And in this case, I'm going to buy myself a nice Oracle Apex fan shirt in the size L. So let's give it a name here. Shirt 1, and we're going to create the order here. So this is just normal Apex behavior, which you see now. And then we can click here on this icon, and then we go to the actual view of the instance. So here you can see a more sophisticated process flow going on, and that's now running. And we have also these lanes in place. So this is more like an inbox type of style application, where everybody has his to-dos depending on the group of people he's working on. So in this case, the clerk has a task to do, and also the warehouse worker has a task to do. And those tasks are actually listed over here on the right side. So in this case, it's a user task, meaning he has to supply some stuff, some info before the process flow can continue. So let's have a look over there. Click on here, and then we get presented our form here, where we can actually decide, should it go to the special carrier section or should it be treated like normal post? So let's click on normal post and click on proceed. And in that case, it gets all refreshed, and you can see that it's now moving one step forward. So now this is done by using the PL/SQL API of Flows for Apex to actually say, okay, this step is now completed, and now go over to the next step.
And Niels, you're rendering this with the plugin, right? So
Yes.
Yeah.
So this what you see over here, and in this box over here, that's all the plugin. Yeah, and Moritz was mainly responsible for that, for creating this plugin, which is called the BPMN Viewer plugin. It's also available on apex.world, but it's also part of the software distribution in the app, and you can use that in your own app to actually visualize where I'm now standing in my process flow. But of course, this is something you wouldn't show your end users normally. The end users are not aware of what BPMN is, and you don't want to confront them with that. So this is something more like in the background running, and a normal user would use a normal Apex application, and that will drive the flow. But for this demo purposes, of course, it's now on the front end, so you can clearly see it. So you can click through here, and here's a manual step. You can see that by this hand here. So this is some paperwork that has to be filled out or something else. In this case, package good. And then he clicks on proceed, and then he's done that step. And it's waiting now for the other steps to complete. And this is the way. This is more like I said before, an inbox type of style app where you can do these tasks and complete them.
So is everything stored in standard tables that I could query and look at?
Yeah, actually it is. I have my SQL developer open here. And
Come
as you
on,
can
we're
see,
database guys, Francis. We're database guys.
yeah. I mean, in the end, once you've done modeling your flow and you click on save, it all ends up in various tables here. And we provided you also views, so you can work with that to get the information out of that. And if you're looking for the diagram, for instance, I've opened here. Here's a list of all the diagrams with the corresponding XML behind it. But that XML gets parsed by our PL/SQL procedures. So that means that part of it gets stored in objects, part of it gets stored in object attributes, and part of it are stored in different kinds of tables. Yeah.
And is that a separate schema? Because it's so small, I can't see.
Oh, yeah. So
currently we have it in the application schema. So what we need to check is like if you put this into some utility schema that everything works as expected. It's a set of tables that we supply when you install the engine, which we need for parsing.
So it's one schema that has everything, and then if I have multiple applications or multiple workflows, I guess there's IDs I can reference to the right one and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's meant to be installed within your workspace schema, where also your different kinds of applications lie. Yeah, so it's fairly basic.
So I would need a copy, and let's say I'm opening up new questions. Maybe I shouldn't go there, but what if I move to test and prod? If I deploy something, I'll need to get this metadata deployed also.
Yes, you should. Yes, what you do is actually you grab the diagram as such, which you can also download as the XML data from the modeler. Maybe yes.
Let me get into that.
Yeah. However, we have scripts like where you can extract that XML definition in a way that it becomes a script that you can run anywhere. Like just fire up SQL Plus. So I'm you might have noticed by now I'm old school, so I'm still using SQL Plus. Not all the more than fun stuff. But we provided scripts in a way that you can just push in a diagram, afterwards call please parse it, because you can just run a PL/SQL call and then you're done. So it's an available workflow in that schema where you pushed it into.
Okay.
Sure. Oh, sorry, Monty. Go ahead. There's a few questions that are sort of piling up. We should.
Yeah, you're using XML. The diagram is pushed to the database via XML and not JSON, right? Was that as a result of the JavaScript library, or was that just personal preference to use XML as opposed to JSON?
That's JavaScript library and BPMN. The standard is XML standard. So we had some fun with parsing XML. It's always fun to do. I can say from a developer perspective. But it's like the standard is like that.
Yeah, we want to support the standard, and the standard is XML. So even though you once upon a time you decide, okay, we're moving away from Flows for Apex to a bigger engine, maybe the Process Cloud Service or Camunda or whatever, you can take those XML definitions and import them over there, and then you can you run them over there. So as soon as the workflow engine itself is BPMN 2.0 compliant, then it's fine. Yeah, then you can reuse them.
Minus those Apex specific things if you don't have Apex.
Yeah, but the flow itself is standard, of course, not the integration. Yeah,
that's a great question. Can we send that through email also?
So Richard is doing a great job of moderating the comments actually as they're coming in. So this was a question from somebody, and Richard actually answered it. If you,
Good.
And there's a few other cases of that as well.
I might have a very simple example explaining this, like having like you create something, a task, which is just a user task, and then you process something, because I had to do a very generic demo. Maybe just let me try to get that up. So, okay, just need to fire up the modeler also, that you see that. And I hope I didn't break something, because that's already some version which is in development currently.
You need to share your screen, right?
I thought I did.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
Okay, good. This has obviously changed. I hope everything works. But so danger zone. This is active development.
Safe harbor.
Oh,
safe harbor. You've seen nothing. Let's hope. Yeah. So this is as simple as it can get when we talk about user task and do something afterwards. That was the goal behind that. You see, it's like the simplest process ever. What this will do is go to a certain page within the application where you asked for that link, and set two page items, basically telling us in which process I am. So where I am in the workflow, what is the right workflow to pick up? And then afterwards, it will just do some, capture the input, work with the input, do something. So let's just switch to the application. So this is totally like, think of your manager pushes on you task and tells you, please, please respond. I put it in. So what I'm using here is actually a simple, a view that we provide, which gives me, based on the workflow at the point where it is currently, where do I have to go? So this creates a standard Apex URL because we have a user task. So it leads me to put some input. I've created that Apex page basically. So this is where I need to align Apex and the workflow, because you need to know what you process. And I say, yes, that's typically my answer on it. So this real life example. Don't ever give a date. And then you might run into an error like this, because this development environment. So what it actually should have done is create some debug messages. Yeah, I know. I like bleeding edge, so I didn't prepare this one. But let's look quickly at the the integration. So you've seen the workflow. Let's hope this loads a bit faster than usual. What I have here is actually just input field, then submit, standard Apex page. And what I did in the processing, instead of like doing my own PL SQL process in here, I just told you the workflow engine, complete the step. Means the user has entered its information. And then the engine will pick it up. Just switching here, will pick it up and try to run the PL/SQL code. I haven't checked if the object might be invalid. I guess so, because I've been playing around with that. But it will try to run that piece of PL/SQL code here. So this is one of the options where how you can integrate that.
And that's actually pretty powerful, yeah. Because in that stage, you can do whatever you want within PL/SQL context. As you can call a web service, or you send a mail, or whatever you want to do there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be quite powerful.
Yeah.
And
and the good thing with that one here is that it automatically you just ask one of our views for give me active user tasks based on the workflow that you want to look at. Like this is my please whatever say open vacation requests for managers as a typical to-do list, and then there's just link in where directed to the page, and then you say yes or no, and the rest is taken care of with the workflow again.
Now, this is a very simple example, as you indicated, Moritz. A very simple example. It's the simplest example there is. Have you guys gone to the other extreme? Are there limitations to how big these flows can get that you're aware of?
Well, we once in a time had a 32K limit on the XML produce, but we fixed it. I'm not sure if it is fully the perfect way to do, but it works. I think, let me see if I can pull that one up, and you won't even. So this is like, I think Richard was doing that one to show each and every activity type that's
MTAG's vacation request flow.
not like that, but
I think we have a vacation request flow somewhere. I might have that. No, I didn't install it. So this is obviously my playground. This is my local playground with thousands of things, and there's upcoming things. So, but Richard once actually put in every. So this is our smoke test, so to say. This is what we think we support sort of in the engine. So we can while the engine won't bark about it, there's like support and yes, it works. Let's say that difference. But this is sort of our smoke test to see.
But we actually use it, right? And you have the statement called eat your own dog food or drink your own champagne. And that's what we also have at our company. So we actually use this for our own procurement process. We've built an Apex app for that. So everybody that comes along and needs a mouse, needs a PC, needs a display or whatever, he can enter that in an Apex application, and then it will go through that flow. And then there are some approval steps in there. There's some back and forth in there. And we model that all out with flows for Apex. It doesn't look that complex, what you see now on that screen, but it has a certain size already. But you can do whatever you want with it. Yeah, you can build also multiple flows saying, okay, that's a process for procurement. That's a process for a holiday. That's a process for whatever you want.
You know, we this has been great. I'd love to continue the conversation. We really there's a couple other things I wanted to get into, but I just don't know if we have time, Niels. And that's like there's other workflow solutions out there. Where do you guys stack up? Where are you most competitive? What do you do that they don't? I know Doug Galt at one point was really interested in exploring this whole workflow concept.
He was. Man.
And I don't know. I think that's kind of gone a little cold. I know he's been doing a lot. He's gotten busy on the Oracle team, so I don't know if he's really pursuing that right now.
That's a good discussion. We've been at Insum like asked a lot of workflows. We've had different people working on different types of workflows, and it's something that keeps on coming back to us. And I really like what you showed us, and I really like that product if we can standardize that. But like Monty says, there's tons of other solution, but I never felt like something like this one that really fits the Apex dev, right? So that's definitely
so integrated.
Yeah. Would you guys be willing to come back and pay another visit?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Sure. I think there's still some meat on the bone here. We got some more things that we want to get at. Michelle, do we have some questions that I know we've been answering as they come up on the chat? Is there anything that any questions that we need to ask and get answered?
I think from what I can see, Richard's been answering them as they've come in. Here's something I think it's more.
This is the constraints.
Yeah. And that's the way our team works, right? We didn't tell him that he should answer that question. He just does it, right? And that's the way we live, right? And we're effectively
so maybe two little things. Like first, I think support needs to be explained. I know you guys are offering a support service, and what if someone wants to help out in that initiative? How can they jump in or help out or participate?
Yeah, so it's all on GitHub. So if there's any developer out there that wants to participate, joining our small group, please feel free to drop me a mail or tweet me about it. And then, we have various discussions going on Slack. We have our own Slack channel for that. We have different kinds of Zoom sessions taking place where we align ourselves, and everybody is participating a little bit. Yeah, of course, it's all spare time. So everybody's contributing a little bit. For instance, we're working on version 5.0.5.1. And there we are pursuing to get versioning in. So you have multiple versions of a flow. And the back end was then, in that case, done by Richard. And then the front end was done by Louis, which is based in France. And that quite works out well. So we have all the time different kinds of stuff to do. And then somebody says, okay, I will take that. Let me look over it. And then there's another guy that actually looks over that, what he's been programming to make sure that the quality is at a high level. That's the way it works. And for an end user, of course, they would download the software and then and they get support from us. Yeah, there is the address called apex.mt-ig.com/support. So they can go over there and they book their support hour if they want to. And you can also drop us a mail. Yeah, so we can try to answer any questions you have. As you see right now, Richard is doing that, answering a lot of questions, which is perfect. Yeah. So this is more like a spare time project, but we're still pursuing that people actually adopting this. And what we ask to the people is give us feedback. So tell us what you're doing with it, what kind of use cases, are you successful, are you having problems? Let us know. That's very important to us. We'll keep on fixing bugs, adding new features to the open source project. And we'll be that.
Well, I think this has been a great introduction to flows for someone who hasn't been exposed to it just yet. Thank you both for coming on and participating.
You're welcome.
It's been great, and wish we were able to rub elbows at the conferences, but until that day comes, we're relegated to this. Thanks again to both of you. Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Michelle. Go ahead.
Thank you. I see Mark trying to kick us out of here as well with a reminder of what's coming up next. So if you don't mind, we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, we have Mia Ehrman from Aura Player who's going to be joining us, Monty, Francis, and myself to talk about forms modernization options. Then on February 11th, we have Dimitri Gilis who will be joining us talking about PDF printing, which is another hot topic. And then, of course, every Friday, we have our instant tip session right here on our YouTube channel, 12:05 every Friday. So join us for that. But I agree, Monty, thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark, for leaving my face open here.
Do all the things. Follow us everywhere. I love interacting with you. Moritz and Niels, I completely agree with Monty and Francis. There is so much to unpack here. I think we just scratched the surface. Apologies if we interrupted the flow of your demo, but you really gave us a great.
But that's how we are, right? That's exactly.
Yeah, we interrupt all the time.
Yeah. That's
we interrupt.
That's how we work.
Keep doing so.
We just operate without any plan. We just go with the flow.
Fly by the seat of our pants, and
we're without a net.
Oh.
No, it's again, it's been a pleasure. We got to get people back to work over here. So, Michelle, if you'll cue the music, we'll dance on out of here. Thank you both, and I hope you guys have enjoyed being on the inside.
Thank you, guys.
Guys.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Insum Insider.